Great afternoon, guys. It's me, Arlene J. Ramsey, CEO and founder of Everyone Let's Talk, also your favorite self-wealth mentor. This segment, I would like to discuss the workplace bully. Yeah, we will discuss the coworkers who bully coworkers and your supervisor or boss who bullies their subordinates. Let's start off with the coworkers. From my experience, and not just based off of what I've been through, but based off of what I've seen other people have gone through on the workplace, is the individual who is actually being bullied, who's targeted, is usually the individual who's either the straightforward worker, the ethical worker, the star employee, the one who has all the great ideas, get things done, the one the boss puts on the job to do things and get things done. That's usually the person that's targeted, or the individual who gets a lot of attention. Maybe they dress well, maybe they're very nice, maybe they're very charismatic, and people just like this person or like to be around this person. This person may have a great magnetic spirit. Those are usually the people that are targeted. Now, the individual who is the star employee is usually targeted by an individual who is pretty much, I don't want to say a star employee, but that employee is pretty much either great or good at what they do, but not as good as the star employee, or they're just not good at what they do at all. And they want that type of recognition, and their envy drives them to gathering up muppets or guppies against you to distress you at work. Now let me tell you what happens to the individual who is actually being bullied. They suffer from a PSD, post-traumatic syndrome. PTS, I'm sorry, post-traumatic syndrome, which includes depression, which includes lack of creativity, lack of being able to be innovative, lack of zest for work. They tend to call out from work. They tend to start coming up to work late. They tend to stop giving as much time as they usually would give to the workplace, because the workplace makes them sick. When I say makes them sick, I'm not saying with an attitude. It literally makes them spiritually, emotionally, and physically sick. How can I say this? Sadly, or I don't want to say sadly, disgustingly, these are signs that the bully see and they like it. This is what they love. So when they witness you being under distress, they continue, and they continue, because their ultimate goal is to make sure that you are removed from the workplace. That is it. You are in their way. They appear in their mind, somewhere in their twisted mind, you are the reason why they are unable to get the recognition that they think they should have, or that you are the reason why they are unable to move to the next level on that job. Crazy as it may seem, because you're not the decision maker. You have absolutely nothing to do with their advances on the job. If you get the position before them, it was just because you were the better worker. But sadly, this is what goes on in their mind. Usually, these people tend to be narcissistic. If you guys have been following me, you would know that I talk about narcissism heavily, because that is a disease. Anyone who's narcissistic, and what I mean by narcissistic, I mean self-absorbed. It has to be all about them. Anyone who has this type of characteristic has no boundaries, will do anything it takes for them to make sure that it remains all about them. Sadly, the bosses don't think that the star employees are actually being bullied. When you complain, you talk about it, they say, oh, You know, you're just, maybe you don't have thick skin, maybe you're a bit too sensitive, or they call it a personality conflict. Anything but the fact that you are being bullied, or anything but the fact that you are being tormented, which is preventing you from working at the best of your capability and ability. And that is very disgusting. I find it personally disgusting, and this goes for any corporation or company which allows it. So let me tell you how to beat that. You know, they say the pen is mightier than the sword. You guys don't get it twisted. I have the sword too. And usually the sword is what I want to swing first. But I know that that will somehow follow up with me being behind bars in handcuffs. So I have to use the pen. Everything that goes on at that workplace needs to be documented. Who's doing what need to be documented. Exactly how you feel need to be documented. If you think that you are depressed, you need to make sure that you follow up with your doctor. Take doctor visits and make sure he check you thoroughly. If your doctor put you on any prescribed you with any medication, let's say for anxiety or to keep you relaxed or to keep you calm, that needs to be documented. Because why else will you have anxiety attacks? What are you in need to be calm for? What is it that is going on with you why you need to be on these prescribed medication? That needs to be documented. And also, while you're documenting everything that goes on, don't suffer in silence. Why bullying continues to take place on the workplace is because the target never knows what's going on. Sometimes in their mind they may think that they've done something wrong, because that's what the bully gets you to believe. Somehow you caused it, and if you are being targeted, you don't know what's going on, so you suffer in silence. Sometimes you may have the typical protocol of trying to pull the bully to the side and say, listen, did I do anything? You know, can we discuss or find some way how we can resolve this problem? I've been in that situation, but the bully never wants to resolve the problem. When you pull them to the side and you have a straightforward conversation with them, no attitude, no arguing. Listen, I just want to know what's going on. What can we do to fix this problem? Because I would just like to get back to my work and do my job. The bully is never straightforward about what the problem is. The bully always finds a way to get themselves out of that predicament without having to discuss the actual problem. That right there is a signal. If they cannot tell you what you have done wrong to them so you can resolve that problem, that should tell you that they want to continue to make you feel the way you are feeling. Even if you did do something wrong, it may not have been that serious for the amount of punishment that you are receiving. And they know that, so they won't talk about it. That needs to be documented. And while you're documenting and building your case, again, you don't want to suffer in silence. You want to be upfront about it. You want to say what's going on the floor. Wherever it is that you're working, if they're calling you names, if they're doing things to you, say, oh, hey, what is that you call me? Did you call me a so-and-so? Oh, that's not cool. Oh, what is it that you're doing? Are you taking files off my desk? That is not cool. I've been looking for this file. You want to speak up. Because when you suffer in silence, people who don't know what's going on, don't know what's going on. And those who do know what's going on is watching the show, and they won't step up for you. They won't protect you. As a matter of fact, they are enjoying it, because you know why? It's not happening to them. And because this is the United States of America, I don't know about other countries, so let me not just put this on the United States of America, but what I do know is that my country promote and support injustice and imbalance. That is all the way from the top, and it's trickling down to the little puppets. And that is what is happening. Injustice and imbalance is what is being supported. Hence, no one is going to speak up for you. So when you suffer in silence, you actually doom yourself. Hey guys, we got cut off. I left off telling you not to suffer in silence, because when you do, you create a situation how can I say, you don't create a situation, you allow the situation to continue to happen because people are unaware of what's happening. Also, if you need further assistance with your situation, as I told you, to document everything and so on and so forth, I can give you a strategy. Definitely give me a phone call at 973-855-2333. There'll definitely be a screening process because I know quite a few bullies will be watching this recording, and I'm not in the business of giving a bully any more information so you can go on to learn how to be a better bully and then cover your tracks. It's the same thing with the phone call. I'll put you through a screening process just to make sure that you are in fact the bullied and not someone who is actually being bullied. Because again, I mean, you are the bullied and not a bully. Because again, I'm not in the business of giving a bully additional information on learning how to be a better bully. Okay? And to let you guys know the types of bullies, as I've mentioned why people are targeted, let me go on to tell you the types of bullies. You have the type who wants to advance on the job. Hence, they look for the other star players, or the other, I don't want to just say star players or just call them stars. I don't want to say that because that's what that person is thinking. Meanwhile, the straightforward worker or the people who have exceptional work skills really don't gauge themselves or the other employees. They just focus on doing their job to the best of their ability. They don't have time to pay attention to anyone else. But sadly, that's not what the bully sees. So the person who is very great at what they do on the job is going to be targeted by the person who wants to advance, because that person who wants to advance see you as a problem. And I mentioned that in the previous recording. If you're in the way, you may get that position before you may get that raise before they do. So they have to get you out of the way. They have to create circumstances around them to make sure I'm sorry, let me backtrack. That's one way. Then you have another way, same thing, where a person may want to advance, and they have to create situations around them to where they look like they're the star. They're going to remain calm because they're starting the conflict, and while everyone is going haywire and gossiping, and then you have the person who is actually targeted, so they may be very emotional or they may be withdrawn. Then you have this one person, the person who started everything, who seems to be very level-headed and who seems to know exactly what's going on, and that's the person who could seem to be very direct when it comes to letting the boss or the supervisor know what's happening on the floor. Hence, that person will be promoted because they were able to create a situation yet keep a level head as to what is going on. So to the job and to the employer, this person managed to be above everything. They don't get in the mix of all the drama. They manage to stay level-headed. They manage to all this other crap that they manage to make themselves look like, which they are not like. All right. And then you just have people who like to dominate people. They just love to be in control of people. So those will be your coworkers. That might ask you to do something. They think just because they ask you in a nice way that you're supposed to say yes. Well, if God forbid if you say no, or God forbid if you ask why, then you will be targeted. Simply because they like to be in control of people. They just like to boss people around. They just like to seem like the big honcho of a job. Those going to be the person that's going to call you out of the blue. You make a mistake on a job and they'll never let you live it down. Anything you do is going to be discussed. You're going to be gossiped about. They're going to be condescending remarks or comments that will be made in your way. There's going to be a lot of nonverbal communication, and that's what I mean by that is the rolling the eyes, the twitching up the lips, the body language, all that sort of thing that's going to signal to other coworkers that you're the person that should be targeted, or that you're the person that no one should respect. They blatantly have no respect or regards for your feelings or what it is that you're going through on the job, because they are creating it. That is the other type of bully. All right. Again, if you need some help with that, on how to strategize on how to handle that situation, Again, give me a call. I gave you my contact number previously, and again, I will put you through a screening process. It's not going to be something, horrifying. I'm not here to make you feel worse than how you feel, but do understand that I have no intentions of giving a bully additional information on how to better equip themselves. No, that's just not going to happen, and that's the reasoning why there will be a screening process when you do call me. Again, I hope this was very helpful for you. And again, I am not for dealing with this case of bullying in a soft way or in a passive way or just in a communicative way. I agree that all of those measures should be taken, but then you have to up the ante. You have to up the ante, because they are relentless. They are coming at you like piranhas, and there's absolutely nothing you say or do that's going to stop them other than being brute. And there's going to be comments or remarks that which will make you know that they're doing things to you. Some have said or will say that, oh yeah, you're stupid, or you never catch on to what's going on, or just those kind of remarks should be red flags in your head, because they think you're stupid and they think you don't know what's going on, and there's so much to go with that. I was one of those people that people frequently mistaked my identity. Okay, for one, I'm very voluptuous. For two, I dress nice. For three, I look good. For, I'm highly intelligent, highly capable of doing any job I put myself in position to do. And then there's the last but not least thing. I just have a baby face. I look like I absolutely have the slightest idea of what's going on in this world. So I get it from all angles, because people look at me and they see she don't know what's going on. I look at myself in the mirror all the time, and I understand why I continue to be a target. So it's funny to me. And what I also come up against is that when I do come at them, people get angry and they come at me harder because they mistake my identity. They refuse to believe that I'm just that intelligent. They just refuse to believe it. And if they think that I have the slightest idea of what's going on, here's a question. And I want you guys, or just here's something that I want you guys to think about. When conversations take place right then and there, just if you think a person hasn't caught on to what is going on or what is being said at the moment, the conversation doesn't end there. What happens after, when that person goes home and they have time to think about that conversation or think about that meeting and process everything that is said? People bank on the fact of whether you catch on to what is going on at that present moment, that they forget that there's still a process of process of any communication or any meeting that continues to go on after you have had that conversation. So what do you think? That person just never thinks about what goes on and their brain just shut down? There's a process that goes on. So this is what I want you guys who are being bullied to master, and that is the element of surprise. Because see, they just think that they're getting away with what they're getting away with, and you have the slightest idea of what's going on. But there's still a master. There's still the element of surprise. And I'm not giving you guys too much information, but what I'm saying is that you're so arrogant, that your character is so flawed in so many different directions, that me putting out this information is not going to be able to better equip you with anything, because you're bound to mess up. You're bound to say something that's going to incriminate you. You're bound to do something that is going to incriminate you, because you're just so arrogant, because you're so good at what you're doing. But I'm here to tell you guys that offense only wins against people who don't know how to be great at defense. But defense always wins, especially when we're good at it, because we hone the element of surprise. Alright guys, we got cut off again. We left off with saying defensive people own the element of surprise, especially when we do it well. And to give you some more information, per documentation, somewhere between 50 to 60% of the bullying which happens on the workplace is women bullying other women. And that also goes back to what I said previously, as far as women being envious of other women, women not liking to see other women comfortable in their space or happy, women taking their frustrations out on other women. So the people who frustrate them, maybe their husband, maybe their family members, maybe their children, they come to work and they take that frustration and that energy, they transfer off on another woman, instead of, let's just say, riding a bicycle, going to the park, doing something constructive that's going to relieve their stress. They rather put that hateful, envious, mischievous, unbearable energy off on another woman, not knowing or caring if that other woman may be going through the same thing that you're going through, and maybe worse. Again, some people go through a lot and they just don't wear their pain on their face, because every day they wake up and they tell themselves, it's a new day and I have the chance to make today better than yesterday was. And this is how they approach the world. They want to smile, they want to be happy, they want to approach the world with zest. So when you see them, you think they're not going through anything, which, in my opinion, and I'm quite sure a lot of people can vouch for that, that's none of your business. If you think someone is living in total bliss and they're totally happy, it's none of your business. However, you don't have the right to put your pain and energy off on another person or on another woman. So I give you guys all the right to write their asses up. Write their asses up, and if you need strategy, as I gave you my information before, give me a call. So let's move on to, the first recordings were about coworkers on coworkers. Let's move on to why bosses bully their subordinates. Excuse me, there are two type of subordinates which I've witnessed that have been bullied by their bosses, and that's the mediocre, extremely poor performing worker and the extremely well performing worker. Those who are somewhere in the middle, they pay them no mind. The poor performing worker gets it because that person always seems to be the mess up on the job, and the boss always seems to have to come bail them out. And some of the things the boss have to bail them out may be causing the money plenty of money, or causing the company, did I say causing the money? I meant to say causing the company plenty of money, or maybe causing the company its reputation, causing the company to lose clients, those sort of things that may have a boss fretting over a low performing worker. So now they will bully this worker, humiliate this worker, and I kind of understand where they're coming from, but sometimes they go overboard because they're so caught up in their pride and their ego. They want all the accolades, they want all the praises, they want their bosses to look at them as if they're doing their job. And if they have this employee who's cutting up on the job all the time, they look like they're not good at doing their job. So now they take their frustration out on this employee and they go overboard. And that's with the belittling this employee, humiliating this employee, yelling at them, calling them names, making them feel like if they are no good. For you employees who are always messing up on the job, what I need you to do is first accept the fact that you are messing up on the job. If you are messing up, accept that fact. And when you accept that fact, you will understand and see how life will allow you to think in different ways which can get you out of the situation that you are in. Case in point, if you accept the fact that you are messing up on the job, maybe you'll come to realize that maybe you don't understand your job the way you should understand it, which is why you're not performing at the best that you can perform. And if you don't understand it, maybe the person who trained you, because we're going to have to go back to the person who trained you. We all get trained for position. Maybe they didn't make sure that you understood your job clear enough. And if you haven't spoken up to let that person know that you don't understand that job, they are not a mind reader. They will take it as you understand them. So if you don't understand your job and then you're put in a position to do it and you're messing up, do understand the effect that it causes that company and the pressure that it will put on your boss as well as yourself. I'm not giving your boss an excuse. What I'm saying is that I need you to own some responsibility to why you may be a mediocre performer on the job. Understand and get on your grind, because you can be great at it. You don't have to stay a mediocre employee. And here's the other thing. If you accept all of that, maybe you can come up with an idea, a creative way, which is some creative thinking, an out-of-the-box way to get some a different type of training so you can understand your job. So maybe the traditional training methods are not working for you. You probably need some out-of-the-box type of training in order for you to understand your position. If you can pass that idea on to your boss may take that into consideration. But meanwhile, while your boss is livid and they're enraged about your performance, do understand that your boss is not going to respect your feelings. They're not going to respect anything that you have to say. There's going to be no sense of urgency about your character or what it is that you do on the job, because they don't respect you. So that, my friend, you will have to go back to what I've told you in a previous recording. You will have to document everything. It needs to be documented, because you want to get to the point where your boss is no longer belittling you. Regardless of what type of worker you are, you don't deserve to be treated and spoken to in that type of way. But when you do that, you will make things, how can I say, you'll be able to help your boss out. And by giving them ideas on how things can be better for you, for the both of you and the company. All right, the next type of worker that I've seen bullied, which I told you guys before, is the worker who's exceptional. And the reason why this person is bullied by their boss is because the boss look at this worker as a threat. This worker is a threat. They're as good as me, or probably better than me. This person may end up being bumped and placed in my position, and I can't have that. I can't have this person in my position. I work so hard to be here. So it has a lot to do with pride, and it has a lot to do with ego, and a lot to do with them being somewhat amazed at your ability to do the job, at the ability that you do your job, and then questioning themselves as a boss, why aren't I able to do things in this type of way? Oh wow, because I've been in that predicament where I've had my old bosses say, wow, you're good. Well, how did you think about that? Because they like to know. They are amazed at it, but at the same time, a little bit of envy and their ego and a little bit of pride is going to sneak in there as well. So that's where the bullying will start for you. And again, you will have to take the measures which I've told you previously. And if you need strategy, do take my number down and contact me, because I will not put strategies out here on YouTube to better equip anybody who does not need to be equipped. But as we're talking about this bullying topic, what I also want to tell you guys, because again, I look at life from a balanced scale. You want to make sure that you aren't oblivious. You want to make sure that you also aren't mistreating people and not knowing it. You want to make sure you're not stepping on anyone's toes. You're speaking to people with respect. You're treating people with respect. You want to make sure you're doing all of those things and you're oblivious to nothing. So I suggest that you also practice some self-awareness. And if you need some strategies and lessons on that, you definitely call me and I'll let you know what to do. All right? Practice some self-awareness, because you want to make sure that your character is up front. Hi guys, last recording, we got left off with me saying practice self-awareness, and I simply say that because you don't want to be oblivious to how you treat people, and because of mistreating people unknowingly, that is the energy that you're receiving. If that's the case, everything that I would tell you to do would be null and void, because your bosses or human resources or whoever you take this information to is going to pretty much say that everything that you're telling them is null and void, simply because you aren't being respectful to the people who work with you, which will be your coworkers. Hence, your coworkers are just pushing back the energy onto you, which you have pushed onto them. So, and of course, I'm not blaming you, the one who's being bullied, for anything. But what I want to make sure is that you are living life straightforward and you are dealing with a balanced scale. Okay, we don't want to be people who cry of being abused, but we're abusing people. We don't want to do that. Okay, so if you're oblivious, we can take care of that with some self-awareness sessions. And that doesn't mean that we won't handle the situation with the bullying case. That has to stop, because there's absolutely no reasoning for bullying, not when it can be discussed. Quick resolve. So again, it doesn't change the thought process of the bully at all, but we want to make sure that you aren't putting yourselves in predicaments which is causing you to receive this type of energy. If you're how can I say, if you're pushing it out, like I said previously. All right. Again, I hope this recording helped you guys out. I'm definitely going to have something else for you guys later on in the week, which will be bullying at school. That's definitely something I have to touch on. I'm passionate about that again because I was also a victim of that. It breaks my heart every time I hear when another child have taken their life because they were victims of bullying. It's not a good feeling to hear, and I can only imagine the parents and their pain, what they go through when they realize that their child have taken their life, especially if they don't know that their child were victims of bullying. If they don't know and they weren't there to help that child, it's not a good feeling. And it disappoints me that we live in a world where that is something that should be unacceptable is acceptable. You have nothing to say to these parents of the children who have killed themselves. You allow something like bullying to take place at school and at the workforce, and you do absolutely nothing about it. I start a revolution. That's gonna stop. It's going to stop. It's going to stop. No more of that. You guys stay tuned, okay? Peace.